Bia, welcome.
Thank you.
Beatrice Vladut is a seasoned strategy consultant and leadership advisor who supports startups and established firms alike in scaling through sharp organizational design, strategic alignment, and hands-on founder coaching.
But specifically, what are you really good at?
I help founders, entrepreneurs, service providers build their personal brand.
Why is it important to have a personal brand? I think a lot of people still don't get it.
I believe that everyone should have a personal brand. It doesn't matter how good you are at what you're doing. If no one knows about you, in the beginning, it's going to be uncomfortable because it's new. I would love this to inspire others, if I can.
So why don't people do it? Like, what's the problem?
They feel they don't have time. They don't feel comfortable putting themselves out there.
Bia, welcome. For people listening in, how is this conversation going to help them?
Well, I believe in a few different ways. First of all, I would love this to inspire others, if I can. I'm all about making a positive impact in everything I do, and hopefully learn something new, empower them as well. So this is what I'm going for.
But specifically, what are you really good at? You're good at personal branding. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. So what I do, I help founders, entrepreneurs, service providers build their personal brand and stand out online. But it's not only that. I feel it's also empowering people to show up authentically, to tell their story, and to grow that way rather than just following trends and, mastering words and also mastering their own values and story to shine through.
So we're going to get into all of that. We're going to get into your frameworks. We can get into how to build a personal brand, specifically on LinkedIn as well. I think we're going to focus on that. But for people sticking around, I think they should stick around for a bit longer because we're also going to get into the personal story, how you got into this, the struggles and the great things about being a solopreneur. So we're going to get into that as well. So it's going to get super personal. So let's go through your frameworks. First of all, why is it important to have a personal brand? I think a lot of people still don't get it.
That's true. I feel like personal branding now, it's a more, trendy topic than it used to be. But in reality, it doesn't matter how good you are at what you're doing or how amazing your product is, or, you can have the best service out there. If no one knows about you, then it's a bit pointless. And so I believe personal branding follows into marketing, right? And there are two main activities that would drive a business, any type of business, and that's marketing and sales. And so if you don't have visibility, if you don't have people knowing and understanding what you do very clearly, then it's very hard to grow. It's very hard to grow your business, to monetize. And so LinkedIn, it's a really good platform for that because it's tailored to business. And it's also a social platform, which allows making connections. And I believe that everyone should have a personal brand, no matter what industry you're in or what niche or what business.
So why don't people do it? What's the problem?
Well, a few things. I think the first big thing is the fact that they don't feel comfortable putting themselves out there. They feel a bit cringy, why would people want to know things about me? But your personal brand is never about you. It's about your ideas, the way you share it, the way you curate it, the way you educate, and the way you inspire people as well. And so building your personal brand is never me. It's more look at this rather than look at me. And the other thing is because they feel they don't have time. And that happens with most founders. Obviously, you have a business to run, you're busy. But I feel like what a lot of people don't see is that this is a money-making activity as well. So it contributes to your business bottom line. And so it's not time wasted on becoming an influencer, which is absolutely not what personal branding means. But it's growing your name, your reputation, your trust and authority, which are intangible assets for a business, right? And I feel like nowadays everyone's looking for what's tangible, right? What's the ROI of this? How much money I'm going to make? Well, I don't know, but it's a lot of intangible things that comes with it, and that helps you grow. And it's kind of like a cause and effect.
Yeah, makes sense. So it's really fear of putting yourself out there, of being embarrassed, let's say.
Yeah.
Today I saw a post from Stephen Bartlett. He's been named top 100 most influential voices by the Times Magazine. And one thing he says is just, the embarrassment bit. People should not feel embarrassed to put themselves out there. And I think he's right. I think, if you start recording 1 video, 2 videos, 10 videos, whatever it is, you are eventually going to get over that hump of embarrassment, right? And then it'll become about your ideas, not really about you. You notice people don't really care how your hair looks. It's more about the ideas coming out of your mouth. Are they super useful or not?
Yes, and you mentioned a really good point here. I really like how Alex Hormozi says this. Anything you're going to start from scratch, you're just going to suck at it. And then you become better at sucking at that thing until you don't suck at it anymore. And then you become better at that thing. You master that skill. But in the beginning, it's going to be uncomfortable because it's new. And you need to learn how to stay in that discomfort to break through and to master the one thing you're looking to do. And I feel a lot of people don't have that patience.
Yeah.
And not only the patience, but also, the resilience to go through your post being ghosted, go through silence, go through, doing the same thing every day for months and months until you see something happening. And the way it works normally, nothing happens until something big happens. And, I feel there are a lot of hidden positives in this. And for a lot of people, like, they don't see progress immediately. There's not that, instant gratification, and then they stop. And there are a lot of like negatives that are not really negatives. So all of this, silence is not so bad because it compounds and the growth compounds. And so it's just a patient, game that you have to stay with.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think though there are people who are posting or doing something for 2 or 3 years and it really doesn't click. Like I've seen a lot of, people that have podcasts, for instance. People are doing this for 5 years. They have maybe 800 plus interviews and don't have more than 10,000 followers. And then, maybe I'm a bit of a weird example. I've got 12 episodes, but almost 200,000 followers and 2 million views. So there are some secrets to this as well. It's not just, consistency, right? There's more to it. So let's go through that. I think you have a lot of frameworks to share, a lot of advice to share, how people should be presenting themselves as well. So let's go through that and let's try to give people the advice that they need in order to get to, go through this quiet period, the ghosting period, for the shortest amount of time possible. How can they go from 0 to 1,000, 10,000 quickly?
Yes, and you mentioned something really good here, consistency. I think this is the worst advice that I've heard. Just be consistent. Just post. Just do it. Yes, obviously you need to be consistent, but you can also be consistently bad, like you said. And this is not what you want, right? So understanding what good looks like and doing more of that. And very importantly, like you said, in your case, testing what works. I'm sure you don't just do the same thing, blindly and you expect a different result. Like you tested a lot of things, right? And so it's understanding what works, what doesn't, and why. So consistency, yes, but being consistently good. Yeah,
exactly. It's one of the points I made. I made a video about, how we got to this number quickly. And we were posting things, sometimes once a month, sometimes 5 times a month. It was totally random. There was zero consistency. I mean, almost zero. But every time we posted, the quality was really high and it provided a lot of value. So let's go through the framework. So let's go over somebody's LinkedIn profile, for instance. Let's imagine it in your head as you're going through it, and then the editor will put up on the screen. So, start with the banner, go to the picture, the title, the description about the person, what they write about themselves, and then we're going to get into posting after that.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll do this as a cheat sheet for optimizing your profile. Well, to begin with, just optimizing your profile is not going to do much. It's part of the foundation of building a house, right? But if you just put one brick, nothing's going to happen. So just giving that disclaimer before anything else, right? But think of your profile like a landing page. So your profile essentially is the very first thing that people see. And so the very first thing they see is the banner. And that banner should not be a London skyline picture, should not be one word, lost that has nothing to do with who you are or what you do. But it really should be used as space, as online real estate, really, and to showcase as much as you can your unique value proposition, which is part of your positioning. So that's extremely important to get clarity on these 3 questions, which I always use with my clients and with what I do. And I think it's the easiest way to see your positioning, which is who are you, what is it that you do, who are you doing it for, and why it matters. And so that should be in your banner. And then if I move to the profile picture, well, obviously it should be a good quality picture, good lighting, smile if you can, is free, no sunglasses, no group pictures like I'm seeing every day. Just a nice picture showcasing really your personality. Your headline is the most important part because...
Well, let's go back to banner. Hang on, because we're moving on really fast. Let's
Okay.
go deep, because people really want to know exactly what to do. So the banner, any color coordination between the banner and the picture, is that important?
It is, but it's not the most important aspect. I mean, your picture, just like your headline, follows you through everywhere on LinkedIn, right? From DMs to comments to posts, right? So one thing with branding, it's associations. So it's what people associate with you as a topic, right?
Yeah.
As a niche, as a service, but it's also as a color. And so people remember that. So if you change your color all the time, you're not going to stay top of mind, and it's going to be very hard to build these associations on a psychological level. And so, yes, your profile picture should have the same color as your banner and as your brand, of course, because that reflects, staying on brand and staying top of mind and having people remembering you.
Yeah.
But if it's a tone, down or up from the color you have on your banner, that's okay. It's actually nice to create a little bit of contrast, just visually pleasant.
Yeah. Okay, that's really important, because personal brand, I mean, if you build a brand for a business, the first thing they're going to look at is colors, the three main primary colors, the typography, the tone of voice, the style of writing. This is how you build a brand. So it should be the same for your personal brand as well, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not just your logo and your colors.
Yeah.
It's a bit more depth and substance there, which comes with the content, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Okay, so let's go to so that's the banner and the picture. Now let's get to the headline. What's really important about the headline? What framework should people be following?
Right. There is actually a framework I have, which is very easy to use. But before that, it's really important that your headline is not a listing of accomplishments.
Yeah.
And so people don't really care about that. It's not a CV. And what they care about is how can you help them? What's the problem you're solving for them, right? And so the focus should be there on them. And so the easiest framework is I help X, where X is your target audience, achieve Y, which is desired benefit or desired transformation, because every business, helps with a positive transformation that their audience is looking for, through Y. Yes. So Y here is the way, your unique method, the way you solve that. So it could be coaching, it could be, done for you, it could be whatever service you have. If you give it also a fancy name, it's nice because you're basically putting your IP there. You're creating that with your brand. And so I help X achieve Y through Z. This was the formula here. And if you have that, it's super clear, it's super on point, and a lot of people will think, this sounds a bit repetitive. Better start there and then change it later. Embrace the state of flux in your brand until you really understand what you're doing, rather than having all these very, very long and irrelevant headlines that just put people off.
I've seen people put there, like cat owner, owner of 3 dogs or something. Who cares, right?
Yes.
One thing I've realized going through my own journey is people actually don't read a lot of things. So the easier you make it for them at the first instance, so they know exactly what you're offering, and then they'll start reading deeper into what you offer. But the first, the storefront has to be super clear, like in milliseconds, they have to know what you're doing. Do you agree with this, or do you think you need to provide some more information up front, or just make it simple and then they go deeper later on?
Well, I always say complexity is the biggest killer of conversion. So keep it simple, keep it on point, and as little words as possible, which really this is harder than using more words for a lot of people. But clarity is what you want to aim for when you build your brand, really. Because if people don't get it, they're not going to spend time trying to understand, trying to, you need to make them consume as little mental calories as possible in this process, with your content, with your positioning, with your profile, with everything, really. So yes, keep your ideas, complex, but dumb down the way you share them, because this will make more people understand and connect with your ideas and get value from these ideas. And so a lot of words are not exactly helpful. Also, the language you use, it should be as plain as possible. We are aiming for a fifth grade readability there, where everyone really can understand it. And if you can do that, that's great. That's a really good first step.
Okay, got it. So banner, picture, the headline.
Yeah.
Any emojis allowed in headlines?
No, please no.
No emojis to split. So for instance, if you're going to say, who you are, what you provide, etc., nothing to split up those 3 sections with like a small emoji. What's your thoughts? Again,
it becomes visually heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It distracts people. So you want people to really understand that headline and have also a good understanding of what is it that you do and how you can help them. And so if you put like a smiley face or a rocket emoji after every single thing, then that's distracting. So you're just shifting their awareness and also their attention somewhere else, and it backfires.
Yeah.
Now, if you really want to put an emoji, you can, but try to make it relevant and try to keep it minimal.
Yeah.
You can separate if you need to put like one line for your headline, like I help business owners build their personal brands through LinkedIn, right? And then I want to say that I'm also a speaker or a founder, or I don't know, I have a business that I had an exit from, right? You can separate that with just a straight line or even a dot. That's okay.
A simple symbol, yeah. Something simple. Makes sense. Because I use emojis in my one, so there you go. I'm going to change that. Okay, so banner, picture, headline. What about the description section? Should it be in third person, first person? What's the structure people should go for?
You're talking about the about section,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we move to the about section, there is one thing we jumped here, which is your link or call to action, which absolutely you should pay attention to it and have one, especially if you have a business online, especially if you're an expert online, a founder, entrepreneur, whatever. Make the most of all the LinkedIn features that they're there for you to use. And so one of them is linking your website, linking your newsletter. So if you don't have something to sell yet, maybe you are just creating content and you also have a long form type of content that you share. So that could be YouTube, that could be a podcast, that could be a newsletter. Link it there, because again, it's like on a website, it's the above the fold part before people start scrolling. And so it's very important to think about what is the next step that I want people to take from here. Like I land on your profile, which I said is like a landing page. So obviously a landing page will have a call to action, a button, something. And so it's very important to have those elements optimized and not just overlook them. So for people that they're selling something, you can have a lead magnet, for example. You can collect more leads, grow your email list. You can have your website, or my favorite one, you can have an application form. So from experience, never just share a Calendly link, because you allow people to book a call, which is great. And when I did that first time, I had 39 calls booked from a day to another. I was like, this is amazing. None of them was qualified. And so you put yourself in a situation where you have to double work, go back to people and say, oh, sorry. And so have a way of qualifying or disqualifying people that want to book a call with you in a form. So that could be also an option.
Yeah.
Anything.
That's really good advice. So having a link somebody can go to fill information about them. And if they don't meet the criteria, what happens? You say, sorry, too busy? Or what do you do?
I have a personal rule to anything I do. Never leave people worse than you found them.
Okay.
So you can do that, but I don't like to do that. So I would give people something like a lead magnet. I would give people, I don't know, thanking for their intention to book a call or their time, and just give them something that can directly help them where they are, an instant value material. It could be a video, it could be a PDF, whatever.
Yeah.
But
give them like a free guide or something.
Yeah.
Say thank you, but
Exactly.
not for me, but here's a free guide. Continue to follow me.
Exactly, yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, and I think the advice has to be that, that form cannot be too complicated either, right? If you have more than 5-6 questions, people have to fill it out. They kind of go, it causes friction in order to get that touch point.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a really good point. So you want to only ask the relevant questions, and from experience, shouldn't be more than 3 to 5 questions, apart from what's your email and LinkedIn URL. But really make these questions very relevant for what you need to know to understand if that person is qualified. And that depends from business to another, because there are different criteria. But think about, in your business, for your audience, who is your ICP, your ideal client profile, and what do they need to have in place to be able to work with you? And focus on minimal questions here. 3 to 5, it's the sweet spot.
Makes sense. Actually, before we even move on, so you went into a really important point, the link. So, for instance, some people are in this position as well. So I have businesses, I have a newsletter, I have the podcast, I have courses that I'm selling. So what link do I use? Because can you put one link, right?
That's correct. Well,
so what do you do then?
Well, the first question is, which one from all of these businesses that you have or different projects is the most important for you? Or if you can't think which one is the most important, which one brings in the most money?
How about putting a link to like a link tree, for instance, with all the links, and people pick which one they like the most? Is that okay?
It's confusing. Like one clear step. So for that, I would focus on what is it that I want people to do right now, and just bear in mind, as I said, embracing the state of flux with your personal brand is very important, because you grow as a person, your business grows, and your brand grows with you. And so that can be changed. So maybe you have a launch now and you're launching something, and so you want to focus on that. Maybe you have a wait list. Maybe you have a new podcast episode that you want people to watch, right? I would focus on that. Maybe it's something different, right? So that could always be changed, but all the other links would go in your feature section, which we're still yet to cover.
All right. Okay. So there's a link you can use. Focus on the most important project you have at the moment.
Yeah.
But that's your immediate kind of, so person sees your banner, your picture, your description, they like it, they click on it. If you're lucky enough, they don't go deeper. And so let's go into the about section now. What's the structure you go for that works the best?
Yes. So first of all, your about section is not about you. Shocking.
Yeah. Wow.
Your about section, it's always about how you can help your audience. What do they have, to learn from you, to gain from you, to benefit from what is it that you do? And so I feel this is where a lot of people get confused, because they start with a story about, how they become a CEO, how they became an entrepreneur, right? But they forget that the person who's reading that is the most important person in that equation.
Yeah.
And so we are selfish beings. The very first thought we have in our mind is what's in there for me. Every time we consume any type of content or we come across any idea online, even, an ad especially as well. And so it's very important to shift the spotlight from you to them. And you are in that story just to guide them to fulfill the transformation that they want, or to achieve a benefit that they're looking to achieve. And so a very good formula here, or a framework, is to start about your audience and think about what's one desire or one pain point they have. Go deeper in that, detail it. How does it feel? How does it look like? You wake up in the morning, you open your laptop, there's 0 in your inbox, you refresh the page, there's nothing there, it's frustrating, it hurts, right? So you agitate the problem, and then you go even deeper when you introduce a solution. So this is your service. What is it that you do? How does it look like? You break it down, and then you have a call to action at the end. Yep. So this formula is called PAS, P-A-S. So it's essentially problem, agitation, solution, and then you have the call to action. But again, you always want to give a solution. Never leave people worse than you found them.
Yeah.
Don't just tell them you have a problem. Good for you. You want to tell them, imagine now you wake up, you have all these messages from potential clients, collaborations, brand partnerships, your life is great. So if you're looking to solve that problem, send me a DM, right? So you need to have a call to action there as well, but you take them on a journey where they can see the before and after of the transformation.
I think it's all about relating to you, right? So if you're able to talk about a problem that they are currently having, and you can relate to the emotion that they're having, they feel understood, and then they feel more likely to then ask for your help. Absolutely.
It's all about evoking emotions. I always say writing, it's 80% psychology. Marketing, it's 80% psychology. And so once you understand these principles, you can master communication to fulfill a goal you have.
Yeah.
And to be clear, that's not manipulation. Persuasion is not the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, in principle, is really evoking emotions, making people feel connected to you and feel something, really.
I mean, the thing that I often find is in the about section, it's really hard not to sound like you're full of yourself, because it's so easy to say, oh, I've done this, I've done that, in order to create credibility, right, for the person to see, okay, you can actually help them because you have the experience. So how do you get around that? How do you get around sounding like you're full of yourself?
Again, you focus on them.
Okay.
So if you focus on them, you can be full of yourself because you're not talking about you.
Yeah.
You're talking about your method. You're talking about how you solve a problem they have. And always remember to write as you speak. So you're asking me in the beginning about using first person or third person. Well, imagine if I would come here and I'll start talking about myself in third person. Be like, this is weird, right?
So you're here in the room,
Exactly. So it's the exact same feeling. You want to give that feeling of, familiarity, but also, obviously, to build your authority. So the words you use are important. But it's like chatting to someone over a coffee. This is the feeling you should give with your content, with everything you write, with your profile especially.
Yeah, I think it's a little easier said than done, because in order for you to explain to the person, okay, you understood their problem, you understood their emotion, but then for you to be able to help them, you have to also demonstrate you have experience in that area. So how do you do that without sounding like, okay, you think you're the best thing ever? You still have to talk. We can argue about this maybe. You still need to talk a little bit about your experience at the end, right, when you're providing the solution, because that's what sets you apart sometimes.
Absolutely. So I don't think that's extremely necessary in your about section.
Okay.
You can, sprinkle here and there, like when you talk about the solution, like, oh, this is how we helped clients in the past, and you have some outstanding numbers or results, or you can give yourself as an example, right? So when I started my journey with my personal brand, I haven't had any clients that I could use to, as a testimonial or to build my authority.
Yeah.
But I had my brand, which grew in 3 months to 10K followers. And so I could use myself as an example, and that built me authority. So, you can sprinkle these things there, but you will go deeper in this in your content. And it's something I like to use, the humble flexing, where, yes, you are talking about great results you had or your clients had, or, your processes deliver, but you also bring that humbling feeling from, but I started here, So why I'm saying that is because if you don't do that, people can perceive it as bragging, and, no one resonates with perfect. People resonate with struggle, they resonate with mistakes, lessons, right? So you want to have a light of that as well in your great success story.
Is there any nuances in terms of your ICP, the type of clients you're going after? So if you're going after, a certain type of client, you should be a little bit more flamboyant. If you're going after a certain type of senior, senior executives, business owners, you should be a lot more numbers focused in your about section. Is there any nuances there?
Yeah, well, everything in branding is nuanced, let's say. But of course, it's very important that you understand your ICP, and you understand not only the demographics, which I feel that's kind of old school marketing, but what we want to focus on now, because almost any business can operate online, right? Unless you're a bakery, which makes sense. But if you operate online, your demographics are not so important. So what's important is the psychographic, profile of your ICP. And here we're talking about, their desires, their pain points. We're talking about their fears. We're talking about their roadblocks, their objections, right? So really understanding this, you will also understand what kind of people they are and what they focus on. But I would say here is kind of a sweet spot. And this is not really a problem to solve, but it's more a dichotomy to embrace. And it's the wide type of content and the narrow type of content. And here you want to have a little bit of both, because if you go too wide, it's just going to be, beginner level. Yeah. But if you go too narrow, you're going to alienate a lot of people, and it's very hard to grow. So you need to find that sweet spot that it's useful for people that are at the beginning of the road, but it's understood by your ideal client profile. And so calling people out, it's a very good strategy. Yeah. So for example, I work with 7 and 8 figure founders when I work one-to-one. And so calling that out, it's going to filter a lot of people, but it's going to focus on the audience that I'm looking to attract. So that's also a good way to niche down in your content.
Yeah, because a lot of times you can have like a really attractive profile, people resonate with it, but then you want to attract a certain type of clientele, which are, can pay for your services. So then, like you said, you don't want to waste time, you don't want to waste their time, your time. So I guess that has to be kept in mind when somebody's building their profile.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And also don't overthink it. Yeah. Because I feel talking to people, there are a lot of people out there that are very afraid to niche down because they think, I'm going to lose all these other people that I could work with. Mm-hmm. You always want to operate from an abundance mindset, not from fear and scarcity, because that's going to help you. That's going to help you grow way faster. But know that there are 1 billion users on LinkedIn, and whatever you choose, you will have enough people that they're going to find out about you when you do things right.
Let's talk about LinkedIn for a second, the platform itself. We will get to the other bits. We have to get to content creation, etc.
Yeah.
But I think LinkedIn is massively undervalued. Gary Vaynerchuk also said this as well. That LinkedIn is probably the most valuable platform of them all for business owners and people wanting to do business. What's your views on it?
I think that's totally fair to say. First of all, there is no other platform. You could argue maybe X, but there is no other platform where you have a longer type of content, because on X is very short, right? Where you have the social aspect of the platform, but you also have the business aspect of the platform. I mean, that's why you can see who viewed your profile. You can find leads. You can segment people. You can connect with the right people, and you just know how to find them, because LinkedIn allows these tools. Mm-hmm. So it's not just there. It's there for a reason. And so everyone on LinkedIn, they're either there to talk about business, or to learn about business, or to do business. So it's very focused on this area. And so for that reason, I believe it's way easier to grow on LinkedIn when it comes to thought leadership, rather than on TikTok or Instagram. And that's simply because it's not so much noise. And people that they're there with a more business-focused intention. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, I see a lot of people hating on posts which are, about someone getting married, or, something very social, because it's supposed to be a business platform. So where do people draw the line in terms of, let's get into content now. Mm-hmm. So where do people draw the line on LinkedIn, about how much they should share from a personal point of view versus just talking about business? Is there a blend? Is there, a bit where you go too far, where if you post about the funeral you went at, for instance, or is there a line they should not cross? But is there some element of personality people should have on LinkedIn as well?
Well, first of all, it's called personal brand for a reason, right? The personal part is so important, otherwise it would just be brand. Now, it's not a right or wrong answer here, and that's because everyone is uniquely different. And I really like how Naval said this: the only way to escape competition is through authenticity. So no one can be you. I can't be a better you than yourself, right? I can't compete with that, and the other way around. And so I think it's very important to know yourself, which I think it's a very hard task for a lot of people to spend that time to do that introspection. And I know this is on a more personal level rather than a professional, but really your personal brand and building that, going through that journey, it's self-actualization as well, because you have to think about, what are my values? What do I want, to get out of creating content? How do I want people to see me? How do I see myself? What's my goal? And so it's a lot of reflection there, and I feel like that helps you become a better individual, not only professionally but also personally. So to answer your question here, I believe that you should share anything that you would be able to share with your work colleagues. So if talking about your childhood trauma is not something you would share with them, then perhaps don't do it in front of everyone, because that's going to make you feel uncomfortable, right? That being said, I think you should embrace a level of discomfort, and do that only when you believe, do I have something valuable to share with the world by telling my story in this way? Because if yes, embrace that state of discomfort and think about something greater than yourself. Think about how that's going to motivate and help people and inspire people, even if it's just one person. And so if you can think about it that way, I feel that's a really nice mindset shift that helps a lot of people move from, this feels weird, I don't want to talk about personal things, to, I'm sharing this, and I put aside the fact that I'm not feeling really comfortable about it, but it's going to help more people, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's a really good framework. So only share something that you're comfortable sharing with your work colleagues.
Yeah.
Or something that brings value, right? So one guy I really respect, and I got to meet him as well, is the CEO of Siemens, Roland. And, he's flying, he did his tour of Asia recently, and, he's talking about his workout routine. He's the CEO of one of the biggest companies on earth. I thought it was really cool because it brings personality. It shows the fact that, but he was explaining that, looking after yourself when you're most busy is actually the most important time to work out.
Yeah, well, think about it this way. You're a human, right? So you can't only talk about work. I mean, in your day-to-day life, I'm sure you have interests and hobbies, and you do hopefully something else than just work, right? And so I think your personal brand is not only talking about the trendy topics. It's not just talking about AI because this is the flavor of the month or the algorithm.
AI is my life. What are you talking about? That's all I talk about. No, I'm kidding. This podcast is an example of this, I think, because we haven't even spoken about AI yet, but we will. We have to. But we're just naturally talking about things as normal as any human being would be interested in.
Yes. Yeah. And same thing when I met you today, when I walked in here, your first line wasn't like, oh, do you know the latest thing in AI, right? Yeah. You told me about your holiday plans, which again, it's a human thing. Yeah. And so I believe that the idea here is think about the things that make you happy, think about the things that can benefit your audience and drive value, and blend these two things. And I do have another framework here for content.
We love frameworks. Give it to us.
We love frameworks. The 70-20-10. And I've heard this on a podcast with Alex Hormozi, and I'm sure he got it from somewhere else, but I'm just going to pass it through. So 70% of your content should be your meat and potato, should be your business. What are you doing in your business? How are you helping clients? Anything business related. The 20% should be kind of tapping back into the business, but with a nuance of what is it that you're interested in, what you like. So to give a concrete example, 70% of my content is about personal branding, social selling, growing your brand, copywriting. But I have posts, I have that 20% where I tap into psychology because it's something I'm really passionate about, into philosophy because it's something I like. But I always give it a spin back to personal branding. So, for example, how to use psychology to attract your ideal audience on LinkedIn, right? So it's blending my interests, but it's also keeping on the same theme with business. And then the 10%, which is my favorite, are the moonshots. And these are the type of posts that they are bold, they are very contrarian sometimes. They're just like kind of that wild card, right? Like you said, like sharing something that's very personal, right? But can benefit people and inspire them. But again, that's 10%.
Yeah, so that's like the provocation piece, driving emotions and
a hot take. Yeah, exactly.
Got you. Yeah. I've done a few of those and it's gone really well or really badly. But I guess, do you believe in any type of attention is good attention?
Yes, there's definitely good attention and just attention. But, rather than having no attention, it's better to have just attention. But what we aim for is good attention. And what I mean by good attention is attention from the right people, seeing you in the right way. And that's very important because growing your brand, let's be serious, is not just vanity metrics. I mean, it's amazing to have a lot of followers and that definitely boosts your credibility. But at the end of the day, the followers don't pay the bills. And I know people that they have a small following, a decent size following, but their business is extremely successful because these are the right people and they only focus on attracting the right people. And so you want to tailor your content to your audience and really making it work like a magnet for your brand. So just attention, it's not what you're looking for, especially now because there are so many engagement pods and fabricated, engagement that does it make you feel good? Yes. I mean, it tickles your ego to see, 100 reposts from your post, but when you paid for that and they're not the right people and nothing good comes back from it, these people will never work with you. Yeah. Then it's a little bit in vain, right?
Counterintuitive, and it's definitely to stroke your ego. Yeah. I do meet a lot of people as well, because some people come on here. I think we had the biggest TikTok creator, Simon Square. We had 1 billion views in a year.
Cool.
That's like, an eighth of the world. And, he gets views from all kinds of, he sells people's dreams, basically. He gets people to follow their dreams, which is a beautiful thing. But it's also so wide-fetching that, it could be a homeless person, it could be a CEO of a company, right? So it's interesting how some ideas are so far-reaching and so applicable to everybody, but then some people focus on specific niches and they do much better in terms of financial performance. So it's interesting. I think people should think a lot more about their end client, like who is going to find their content the most valuable, and really try to focus a little bit on them, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to pay the bills, and they're the ones that are going to find your content the most valuable as well. So paying for posts and promotions and stuff like that, you have to be really careful. You have to reach the people that you're trying to reach in the first place. So really good point. So we're into kind of content creation area. So why is it that some of my posts get, 1,000 impressions and some of them get 200,000 impressions? What's going on?
Well, we'll need to see your post to tell you that exactly. But again, are these posts personal? Because one thing that I always hear when I talk to people, like, whenever I post something personal, it has more reach. But obviously, do you enjoy watching a film or a documentary? Where are you going to be more invested? Everyone likes a story, right? So storytelling is very powerful. Now, when you can combine storytelling with lead generation, this is when the magic happens. And you start telling that story, but it's tailored to your ICP, like you said, right? Understanding your client and telling that story for them, making them the hero of that story, giving them the opportunity to win the battle in that story. Yeah. And so it really depends. Like now, I do believe that virality is not something that can be predicted. I sometimes post and I think it's gonna be the best post ever, and it's just like normal. And then sometimes I write a post in 5 minutes really quickly and it goes viral. So it really depends how, your audience interact with that idea and how they perceive it. I do have a theory that any idea can go viral if it's written well.
Yeah.
But yes, I think it's, some of your posts will go viral, and that's great. You should always look at them and understand what was here that worked. And something you could try is taking that post and posting it again, so recycling it. And the chances are that if it goes viral once, it's going to go viral twice. And if that happens, it means it was that post. So you can experiment, like A/B testing always, with the hook or with the image, or, turning it into a different post like a carousel, and see what happens then. If it performs well in all these cases, then it's the topic that people resonated with. If it doesn't, then it was something else, and by testing it, you can just find out.
Yeah, I'm shocked sometimes because I'm talking about things that will transform people's companies most of the time through AI and digital transformation, and some of the advice is worth billions. Like if a company followed the advice, it would make billions. I've turned companies from millions to billions by using my methods. But then, the post that I think is the most viral that I've made is when I explain to people how to turn ChatGPT into their girlfriend. So it's funny. It seems that, people want to be entertained more than anything else, even on LinkedIn.
Of course, because again, we're humans. But let me ask you this. Let's take this real example as why this happened, right? So why do you think that even though this advice was so valuable, like helping people to make billions really, didn't perform so well, like the one you said about how to turn ChatGPT in your girlfriend?
It can be boyfriend as well, by the way. We have to look, I guess we have to go through it. We'll do a follow-up to this, and we'll kind of look at some of my posts, like the bad ones, and then why it failed. And maybe we could redo them again to see if they have better performance. Would you be up for that? Like a real-life experiment?
I always love a content roast. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah? Okay, good. So we'll do a follow-up to this. We'll do it online. We'll go through some of my posts, the good ones, and the bad ones, and then can we make those bad ones perform better if we repost them?
Love that. Yes, to give you a short answer is because there are less people out there that they can turn their business into $1 billion company than people that they want to turn ChatGPT in their girlfriend. So
yeah, true.
That's why it's just a volume.
True.
Question,
Okay, so 70-20-30 rule, really important. I understand that videos on LinkedIn do 40% better than normal posts. Is that right?
Well, this always changes with the algorithm. I think it was the latest algorithm handbook update with all the insights from Richard van der Bloem, and he was talking about videos as well. And there is a change with the impressions. So for it to be an impression, like don't quote me on this because I can't remember exactly, but it needs to be a certain amount of seconds that someone watched that. So it's not just
swipe,
coming across the video, but it's actually watching. I think the first 3 seconds or 5 seconds, can't remember, which it makes it even more difficult.
Yes.
Right. So before you think about changing your whole strategy to video because this is the latest thing, remember this. And so there was a point in the beginning where I started experimenting with videos when the feature was just released by LinkedIn, and they performed really well. And that was because I believe the algorithm was trying to push, for the videos to be used more. But now, actually, my videos are not performing as well as my just static image posts. Yeah. So again, it's a matter of experimenting with it.
One thing I found on LinkedIn is that if you film on story mode, like long form, it will post it in a different kind of place that people don't always see it. But if you make a video on landscape, it's going to come up to the normal landing page where people see all the posts.
So they both will come up there, but only on the phone, only on your phone, you can see like the one. You mean the one that you swipe, right? Like on Reels, essentially. Yeah, that's only available on the phone. So you can't see it on your desktop because it's not.
So that format. Yeah. So if you film on long form, you will inherently reduce a little bit the audience that get to see your content? No,
not really. Actually, it is better. You should always optimize for mobile because 70% of people, any social platform, they're using their phone. And so even when you write, and as we're talking about content now, it's very important to keep your post very nice and tidy, but optimized from mobile, not for desktop, because
Gotcha.
if on desktop looks great, amazing, but then I open it on my phone and I see these chunks of text and like lines, bleeding out on the next line, and is messy, and so people don't read it. As I said, make them consume as little mental calories as possible.
Okay, so now we're going to get into something interesting on the post. How long should a post be? Because I've seen a lot of great posts which are super long. They actually put lines, empty lines in between sentences. So you
Line
have
breaks.
to keep scrolling down. So how long should a post be? What are the little tricks that people can do to get better engagement?
So your post should be as long as the maximum character on LinkedIn allows you to. Obviously, I mean, here is not a right or wrong answer, because you can say something very valuable in 2 lines, or you can share a powerful story in 2,000 characters, right? So it really depends. I never recommend people to focus on the length of the post, but rather focusing on the formatting of the post, the flow, the kind of rhythm. Like, maybe you've noticed this, that the way people write on LinkedIn, I mean, myself included, it almost looks like poetry. You have the hook, you have a line break, you have 3 lines, a line break, 2 lines, a line break, and it looks like a poem. And that's really because it's easier to read. So like you said in the very beginning, and you made a really good point, the fact that people don't really spend a lot of time reading things because we became increasingly more lazy.
Yeah.
And so we kind of skim through, and again, from a psychological perspective, we just like read like in a Z shape way. And so when your paragraphs and your lines are short or shorter, it's just easier to skim through and get the main idea. That's
Gotcha.
why here a very simple language helps you, because people read it faster and it's more clear. The worst thing you can do is to have someone go back to that one same line and read it again and again until they understand, because no one's going to do that.
Yeah. Come on, Bia, give us all the juice. Like, what about the first sentence? That's the most important, because that's what people see as a summary, right? Like, how
hook,
do we write the perfect post?
The perfect post. Well,
It doesn't exist. I'm just trying to generate an emotion in you. But how do you write a really good post? What are all the little tricks? Should people be putting links in their posts? Should people be putting hashtags in their posts? The first line, is that the most important? Any emojis? I love emojis. Let me use emojis in my posts.
Okay, you can
give us all the sauce.
Right. So a few things here, and these are just the basics. And if you focus on this, you have already a good post, and from there, it can become perfect only when you do it every day and you start mastering the skill. But to begin with, your hook, yes, is the most important part of your post. And so really 80% of your time that you're spending writing that post should be focused on the hook. And what I like to do, and I think this is a better approach from what I'm seeing, working with people and training them on this, is to first write your post and then think about the hook. It's just like writing a book. You're not going to start with the title and then you're going to think about what I'm going to write in this book based on this title. You're going to first write a book, and then you think, what's the best suitable title for this book?
Yeah.
Same thing here.
Yeah.
And what works very well with finding the perfect hook for your post is to give yourself, like, I literally put a timer and I put 2 minutes, and I'm thinking, okay, if I could summarize this post in 1 sentence, what would that be? And the first thing that comes to mind, write it down. And I'm like, okay, what's another thing I could say? So write 3 of them down and then look at them and think about, okay, from these 3 options I have, which one is the most powerful? And that's a really good exercise, because first of all, most of the times when we say things very quickly is when we don't overthink them, and we tend to base it more on emotion. And so these hooks, they tend to perform the best. And also you have 3 options that you can choose from, and not 1,000 that maybe you get from ChatGPT, and it becomes this, paradox of choice, like which one is the best one, So just keep it simple. Write your post, think about the hook, give yourself 2 minutes to just like just put out there any idea that comes first, and focus on that.
What about links? What about hashtags?
Hashtags, please don't do that. No one uses hashtags on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like, tell me the last time you searched something on LinkedIn based on a hashtag.
Well, I actually want to argue this with you.
Okay.
Because sometimes, so for instance, I have a course on LinkedIn Learning, and sometimes I want to just say hello to people that took the course, because when you take the course and you mention that you've taken it, it becomes a post.
Okay.
And people, sometimes put the hashtag, whatever it is, AI or whatever, my name. So when I go to search, I do put, whatever, I put my name, for instance, because people mention my name, because I'm the instructor on the course. And then when I click on, the filtering, I put in latest posts, because I want to see the last people that took the course over the last few days. And it seems to be quite helpful, because then I can find posts a little bit easier. If I want to see the latest posts on, Trump's tariffs, God forbid, then I can actually put Trump tariff and then as a hashtag, and it comes up. So isn't it easier to search for a post if it has a hashtag?
Well,
what's the problem if you do it? Like, what is it a bad thing?
Well, that's a bit different from the LinkedIn Learning story you shared, because again, that's not a day-to-day post that someone would just post it, and also you use it to find something that again is related to your contribution. If we're talking about just hashtags, like I wrote a post and I have a bunch of hashtags at the end, it is a problem. It can become a problem, and I'll tell you why. It's because most of the times when you write a post, you end that post in a call to action or a call to engagement. So call to engagement essentially is asking your audience a question that just starts a conversation. So it creates more engagement, it interacts with people. A call to action is, an sales-focused action that you want them to take. So send me a DM, fill in this form, visit my website. Now, that is the end of the post for a reason, because it's the last thing that people remember about the post. And it's fresh in their memory. And so your beginning and your ending of the post are the most important. Now, if you start putting all these hashtags that they also have a different color, it's just visually distracting. And people start reading all of that, and it just makes no sense at the end of the post.
Gotcha.
And you shift their attention again from the call to action, which is the most important part, or call to engagement, to nothing, right?
Yeah.
And
that's good. That's good advice. That makes sense now.
Yeah.
Now you've explained it. It makes sense. If there is no call to action, it's okay to use it.
If there is no call to action, I would suggest you have a call to engagement.
So you got to have something. You can't just leave it blank. Just a post about something, but nothing to follow through on.
You can. It's not that you cannot, but it's just better if you do, because it helps you with the engagement.
Yeah.
Again, especially when you're starting out in the beginning, because it builds that stronger bond with your audience. You ask them a question, they answer, you answer, right? And that's also more traffic to your post, but also understanding them better, getting more feedback. So these are really powerful. It's starting conversation and social listening, really.
Yeah. So that's good advice. So a call to action is obviously click on this link and let's do something, perhaps. And a call to engagement is, what's your comments on this? Do you agree with me? Something like that.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And your call to action can also be send me a DM. So I tested this and it works really well with lead generation. So giving people a keyword, let's say podcast, right? DM me podcast, and I'll tell you how we can work together. It's way more powerful because people don't feel comfortable asking for help. And if you just tell them, send me a DM, I'm going to be like, what am I going to say? Like, help? I need help with this. It's not comfortable. And also people don't do it in the comments because it's publicly. No one likes to say they have a problem publicly, right?
Yeah.
And so just giving them a keyword is kind of like pressing this button. It's like, okay, I put it there. You know exactly what to tell me, I hope. And you're going to, ask me the right questions. So I give you that to help me out. But it's less uncomfortable for them.
So it's a bit like you giving them some advice on personal branding, and you say, comment brand, and I'll send you a free something.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
A comment brand, and I'll tell you how I can help you.
What if somebody gets, hundreds and hundreds of messages with that keyword? Is there a way to automate the outreach back to them if they say a keyword?
I believe it is. Now, if you are at that level, then it maybe makes sense to have someone to help you with your inbox. But I wouldn't focus so much on automations, and I know you're not gonna like that because
no. You know what? No. I am. The whole point of I think one of the things that helped me do really well is I'm very human centric. So I actually, when I started automation, it was from a personal story.
Mm-hmm.
I was just sick of copying and pasting things. I was sick of being a robot.
Yeah.
So the whole point of everything I've been doing the last years is just to take the robot out of the human, so the human can become an actual human.
Love that.
Right? So I'm totally against people doing work that, it's just mind-boggling. You just be like a zombie just doing it, because that's not what you should be going to work for. I mean, you spend 40% of your life in work. So if you're doing just mind-boggling things, your brain's going to fry. You're going to become a dumbass, and you're not going to be having anything interesting to say or do later on. So it's really just trying to abolish the robot and the human.
Yeah, and I think you made a really good point with that.
Yeah.
I believe, all these tools that we have now, AI, we should use it to automate or really delegate, replace all these repetitive monkey tasks, copy pasting things. But you can't really outsource creativity and taste and authenticity, or at least not yet, right? And so I feel it's an art to know what to outsource and what not to, and what to keep. And I feel a lot of people are trying to, remove everything from their plate. But this is when it's not working. So yeah, I'm glad you made that point.
We're gonna get to that. So we're gonna go. Let's finish. There's so much more to go through on LinkedIn. I think let's finish that, because people really want to know how to do better on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So the personal brand story, but we are actually going to get into your own story as well. So people should stick around, because I think you have quite a cool story, and it's actually quite motivating, and also a little scary as well at times. So we'll get to that. So perfect post, hook right after you've written the actual thing. Write as much as you can.
Yeah.
Call to action or call to engagement. Have a picture or a video of some sort. So links, we didn't get to links still. So what do you do about links? You put it in the comments? Because I've heard the algorithm doesn't like links. LinkedIn doesn't like when you offer a chance for you to leave the platform.
So I actually tested this. It doesn't matter.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Before it did, it's true. But now, if you noticed, every link it looks like a LinkedIn link.
Okay.
Right. So the only time when you shouldn't add a link, it's when it's a link of a different social platform, like Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah.
Also, if you add a type of video, and you made it with TikTok, and it has the TikTok logo, don't add it, because your reach is going to be very low.
Okay.
And so absolutely you can add links. It's okay, as long as I said, they're not from other social platforms. It's not going to harm your reach. It's not going to harm your post. You can put them at the end. That's okay. Yeah.
So for instance, if I'm going to post about this episode, because it's going to YouTube, I should not post the link on the actual post itself. I should do it in the comments.
I would do it in the comments. Yeah.
Okay. And LinkedIn is not clever enough yet to realize, you've just put the link somewhere else.
I mean, I don't see any harm in
don't
that.
tell anyone. I don't have to change the algorithm again, and it's going to cause other problems. Okay, fantastic. So one thing I'm starting to notice is authenticity is becoming really big, thank God, because everything is becoming perfect for a while.
It's about time.
Everything was looking like Desperate Housewives for a bit. So how much more engagement does somebody get from providing a picture from a studio photo shoot, a professional picture, versus them just doing a selfie somewhere cool? Is it better to be a little bit less perfect?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like people really overcomplicate authenticity here.
Yeah.
Simply put, do you connect better with a face or a super branded, infographic? Obviously with the face, right? People trust other people.
Yeah.
And so that's why whenever you share something personal and you add also a personal picture, it's going to be way more powerful, because it's not only the connection that the words are making with that person, but it's also the visual part. And so absolutely, that's, it's a little hack to also get more visibility on your posts when it's maybe not something personal, but it's a lead generation or announcement, right?
Yeah.
If you use a picture yourself, it's just going to have always more traffic. But that's just, human nature. we like to see a face, we connect with other people.
Yeah.
So things to not do here. Don't over edit and over brand. Like everyone is kind of like now posting this kind of pictures that they look like a tweet. I mean, it's actually a tweet, and then they would post on LinkedIn. And then they added colors and logos and taglines and so much that it just looks too prelucrated. Like it's just not natural anymore. And again, remember, you're building a personal brand here, and so your logo is not really necessary there. Like you don't need it. So rather than doing that, just focus on simple images. Like, I get it, not everyone is comfortable to share a personal picture of them in every single post. And I'm actually not doing that either. So what I do, I just create a very simple visual, which is really just my name in the corner, what I do, and then 1 or 2 lines that are the main message of the post. And that's it.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so same with carousels and same with videos. You know, the most important thing on a video in your content is your light and your sound. That's it.
Yeah.
And obviously have subtitles, because it's important for, you know, everyone to understand the video.
Yeah.
To be inclusive.
Yeah, you have a few strong accents sometimes.
And not only that, but think about it, there may be like deaf people, right? So how are they gonna understand what you're saying?
Yeah.
And so just like thinking about everyone in a wider audience. But apart from that, just don't overdo it.
Yeah. Well, I've seen people do some, I think this is a don't category as well. I've seen people put outrageous things in the background in order to get attention. So somebody would take a selfie, for instance, and in the background there's like a machine gun or something. Or there is a magazine which shouldn't be there. You know, not the kind of magazine people should be looking at.
On LinkedIn you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think
it's because it grabs people's attention, right? They look at the picture and they see something outrageous in the picture, and then they go,
That's why I said not all attention is good attention. But what you just mentioned, I don't think LinkedIn would allow that to happen, because there are even words that would trigger the algorithm in a way that would not show your posts. So these words are as simple as, I think it was brain, kids or child. I remember Jasmine Alec was talking about this, and he gave a whole list. I don't remember all of them, but all of these like words that they're like normal words. If you use them, your post is not gonna get as much reach, because they're considered harmful. Obviously, anything harmful as well.
We'll put it up on the screen once you send them to me, or we put it into the description of the video so people can see which words don't mention in your posts.
Yes, I think Jasmine was talking about this in one of his posts. We'll find it.
Cool. Okay, anything else you want to cover in terms of, what about people's careers, people's, what they've done in their life? Some people put absolutely everything, and they put, paragraphs and paragraphs of information. How deep should you go into the actual history, your actual work history?
Again, think about what's relevant for your audience. And when I say your audience, this can mean your ideal client if you have a business. If maybe you don't have a business, you're looking for, your next role, then think about who is your audience. Are the headhunters, what kind of companies, and focus on that. So make it relevant. Like, if you're 16 and you worked in a cafe, and you consider you got some great communication skills, amazing, but maybe don't put that there unless you want to go on that path, right?
Yeah.
And so I would say your skills section is actually more important than your timeline or previous work. Keep only what's relevant, keep big names if you have that, but focus on the skills, because this is where people can endorse you as well.
Yeah.
And that, again, builds more trust and credibility.
Yeah. What about testimonials? Should you try and get testimonials?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The recommendations, yes, I would ask anyone you can, that you worked with, or even people that they were your mentor, right? It's very important to have that there, because, again, people really look and they scroll through everything, and of course another human saying something about you, and it's not yourself saying something about yourself, it's way more credible.
One thing I've always believed in is voice of the customer. So, you try not to talk too much about yourself, although I need to do better at this, but get customers to talk more about what you do. And that's really your selling point of view. Because people trust what other people say about you more than what you say about yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned this, so I think it's helpful to talk about, because we're talking about content, right? So the easiest way to think about your content is to kind of have this checklist in mind. And the first thing is this post helpful for my audience? Does it deliver value? And when I say value, it's probably the word that I really dislike the most, because it's so overused and, kind of lost meaning and became this buzzword. But what I mean by value is we have a few functions of the content that are very important. Whenever we write anything, it needs to have a goal. Otherwise, it's just fluff, or it's not helpful for the reader. And as I said, the focus should be on the reader. So these functions are educate, entertain, like you mentioned, inspire or empower, and sell or persuade. And so if your post doesn't do any of this, then you have to rethink it.
Go back home, go to sleep. Yeah.
Exactly. And if it does, then it's good to identify it, and this is how you build your strategy as well, right? So my goal is to grow my audience. Let's say I just started my business. I want to grow my audience, and I also want to get some clients, my first client, right? So lead generation too. So I'm gonna focus more on educating my audience, so then I can build my authority. I can do that through thought leadership, and I'm also gonna focus on persuading and selling. But I'm gonna be careful how I do that, so I don't alienate people. I convert them, but I still give that value through education.
Yep.
And that means, maybe breaking down processes. So how do I get you from A to B? How I did it in the past, talking about testimonials, case studies, all of that good stuff there. But again, you need to really understand what is it that you're doing and why you're doing it to be able to get the results you're looking for. Because if you're just posting for the sake of posting, it's just noise, right?
What about things like Sales Navigator? Is that useful for people trying to sell services or products? Like what else? What other features of LinkedIn should they activate? Is it necessary? Is it not necessary?
So, as I said in the beginning, you have two main activities, marketing and sales, right? They're obviously intertwined. Now, the better your marketing, the easier your sales will be, because it just does the heavy lifting, right? So I would focus on both, of course. Personally, I don't use Sales Navigator. Now, if you are a big business and you have departments and teams and sales reps, then perhaps you will use it. Yeah. It's not a requirement, as well as, please, for everyone to understand, having LinkedIn Premium, it doesn't give you a better reach.
This is a question I should have asked you. So Premium doesn't help you in any way? You get more messages, more in-mails, right?
Yes, and one thing that Premium, I think, for me, the only reason I'm using it is because I can see who view my profile. And
that helps,
that is a very important cue that someone is interested in what I'm doing. So I can move that conversation in DMs, start a conversation, and potentially that can become a client, right? But it starts with the visibility that's created by the content. So you can't do that with no content, because you will have no profile views. Well, maybe, but very little in comparison to if you start creating content. And this is what we call a lead flow that comes from organic efforts. And so never stop creating content, but never stop doing the sales part as well. So there are two activities that you should religiously do every day if you want to be serious about building your brand, growing, and also making real revenue from it, monetizing your LinkedIn.
Great. Is there anything else we missed on the LinkedIn part? Because I want to get into the personal side, how you got into it.
I think we cover quite a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get personal now. Let's. When did you start this journey? When did you wake up and think, "Oh my God, I want to be a personal brand specialist"?
Never. I've never woke up thinking about that.
Yeah. It just happened naturally. Like, how did you get into it?
Right. Story time.
You used to be an employee before. Like, how did you get into the whole thing?
Okay, so I think it makes sense to start with the beginning here. So I was studying in the UK, and I really wanted to get an internship. It was like, I don't want to go in my third year without getting this internship. So I did everything I could to get this internship in London for Disney. And that was my...
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, that was my dream. And, I almost got there. There were 300 people. They selected, I think, 4 at the end. And, well, I failed the last
Disney, your loss. It is your loss.
Exactly. It was, it broke my heart, literally. And so after that, I had planned a trip to Barcelona, to Spain. And before I went there, I got this message on LinkedIn. I mean, that time my LinkedIn was nothing but the university I'm studying at, really.
Yeah.
So I got this message on LinkedIn, and it said something. I didn't even read it. It was something internship, something. Do you want to apply? And I was just like, internship. This is all I could see. And I was like, yes, absolutely. It was like, oh, by the way, it's in Barcelona. And I was like, oh, I'm actually going there. So long story short, this is how I moved to Barcelona. And then I only had that internship, which this is how life is funny sometimes. I wanted to do something creative, and I got to have this internship in MarkTech, which is the least creative part.
MarkTech, so maritime.
No,
technology,
so MarkTech is marketing technology.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
automations, email marketing, but not the content part.
Yeah.
So it was very insightful, but I just knew I don't like that.
Yeah.
And then I had another short internship for a few months, and then I realized that I don't want to work in a company because I feel like I'm trading my time for someone else's dream. And I also feel that it's very uncomfortable to ask for permission for having a day off or having lunch. And so very quickly I knew that I don't want to do that. And so I took this, it was like a coaching program. I took this coaching program from this girl from Canada, and she was talking about conversion copywriting and, blending psychology with writing, 2 things that I really like. It was like amazing. And then I quit my job, and I found my first clients in Barcelona in kind of a party. And I was like, okay, great. This is what I'm going to do. And then I got another client, and I started freelancing as a conversion copywriter. And then I didn't really know what I was doing. I had no idea. I was 20. And I never, written a contract or an invoice before. Everything was new.
Wow.
So it was exciting, but also very scary at the same time. And then I decided 2 years ago, a bit more than 2, to move to Bali. Well, I didn't decide to move to Bali. I decided to go to Bali for a month. It turns out I stayed there for a little bit more than a year. And so I got to Bali, and somehow I lost all my clients.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. All the clients I had freelancing.
Yeah.
So I found myself being in Bali with no idea what I'm going to do next, losing all my clients. And I think at that point I only had 2K in my bank account left. I was like, if something happens, I can't even fly back home. So I remember I came across LinkedIn, and I came across this coaching program about lead generation. And this coaching program was 3K.
Oh, wow.
But there was 10 installments.
So wow. So you had 2K and you went for this 3K program and paid in 10 installments. That's super cool.
Remember what I was saying in the beginning before we started the podcast, like when you have nothing to lose, you become dangerous. But it was that moment when it was like do or die, really. And that was because I was like, I only have one chance to make this right. And if I don't, I mean, the worst thing can happen. I go home. It's not that bad, right? But I go home with the tail between my legs and not very, very happy about it. So it's like, I'm going to make this work. And that turned into, going from 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. every day working in Bali. And it was really funny because people would be like, oh my God, you're in Bali and you're having this amazing time. And I was just in a co-working space. I was living there almost, just going home to sleep. But, that started working. So how I started with LinkedIn, I started writing content. And I had first this woman messaging me, and she's like, oh, I really like your content. Can you do the same for me? And I was like, I think I can, yeah. So I started ghostwriting without even knowing it's called ghostwriting.
Yeah.
And I have one client, another client, and Bali is also an amazing place to connect with a lot of great entrepreneurs, successful people. I've learned a lot from the people I met there, and that just fast-tracked my growth. I found clients there as well. So we started growing, and it became more a ghostwriting agency. And after that, very quickly, I realized that, you know what? No one is better at telling your story than yourself. So I can be the best writer in the world, but you can tell your story way better if you have the tools and the right guidance.
Yeah.
So I started building my programs called Simply Branding, and that was the very first version. So it was a coaching program on teaching people how to build their personal brand, how to monetize it online. And this is how it all started. And then I grew from really nothing to 10K in the first 3 months. Now in 2 years, I've grown to 50, a bit more than 50K followers on LinkedIn. Got a lot of brand partnerships, a lot of opportunities that I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
And also hit 6 figures in 8 months. So that was just, incredible, because I never had that goal. Like, this is not something I wrote down on paper. I want to do all these things by this time. I was like, I need to find a way to make this work, because otherwise I'm screwed. And I think when you pour your heart and soul into something, and your energy, and you're not afraid to take risks, which obviously feels scary for anyone, you start seeing some beautiful things coming out of that. Especially when your main goal is not making money. Your main goal is making an impact.
So did you know that you love this topic when you kind of saw the course come up? You were just waiting for this course to come up, or you didn't know you liked it? You didn't know it was going to work out?
Are you talking about copywriting or LinkedIn?
Copywriting and LinkedIn. Like, when you saw this opportunity come up, did you think, oh gosh, this is what I've been waiting for? Or you didn't know, like, when you took that opportunity?
So now thinking back, this is an interesting question. This girl, Alex Catoni is her name. She's an amazing copywriter. And she had a very strong presence on YouTube. So I always liked psychology, and I always liked writing. So then I started looking into copywriting, like watching her videos, just binge watching them. So obviously she built a personal brand, but 6 years ago, a bit more, that time, I didn't know what a personal brand is, and people were not talking about that. And so I was just like watching her content. And then when she dropped her course, I was like, I want to do this, because I already trust her. So again, the magic of a personal brand, the moment you spend time with the content that the person creates, you start trusting them. You feel like you know them, and you want to spend even more time with them. And so when I took that course, I knew I have a passion for writing and psychology. I just didn't know exactly what I can crystallize in. And then the other thing with lead generation, not really. It was not something I was, waiting for. I don't really read newsletters, or I wasn't before that much. And then I just opened this one, and I was like, oh, sounds interesting. And I always believe that, everything happens for a reason. And it's such a thing as right timings. So you had an inclination it might be a good thing. Obviously, otherwise you wouldn't do it. And then you just went for it and just tried it, and it just happened to work out. That's pretty cool. Yes, well, exactly. But this is what I mean. Maybe I'm a bit more spiritual with this kind of things.
Yeah. But what do you mean by that, more spiritual with this type of thing?
Because I believe that there are always signs in anything we do in life. And so if you start doing something and you feel like you have a lot of obstacles, in your way, you feel like nothing is really working. Yeah. There might be a sign that maybe that's not the path you should take. Like when I was applying for internships, I'm not joking, I applied for more than 100 internships in the UK. Yeah. And I haven't got any. And so with no effort, I just got this internship in Barcelona, like out of all places, right? Yeah, yeah. But now looking back, if I would have stayed here, perhaps I wouldn't be where I am now, right? So this is what I mean. Same with losing all my clients at the same time. Maybe that was not the path I should go towards. It was something different. And so I think it's just, if you read The Alchemist. Yeah, I love the book, yeah. Exactly. Paulo Coelho is a Brazilian writer. Yes, I love the book too. And one thing that stayed with me, is that when you wish something strong enough, the whole universe conspires to make your wish come true. And I do really believe in that, and just like paying attention to signs, when I'm sure you also experienced at least once in your life where all the doors are opening and then the path is just flowing, right? That's when you know, okay, I should go ahead with this. Doesn't mean you're not going to work hard for it. It just means that it's the right thing for you. So I think it's just, I know, being a bit more in tune with that.
So one of your recommendations is just to just be in tune. Like if something is being constantly blocked, it doesn't mean that you should just try harder to get it.
Yes, because, if that door is not for you, you can try to knock it, break it, to do everything in your power. But then when the other door opens that is meant to be for you, and all of a sudden you effortlessly, flow towards that. So I'm a big believer in that, or at least, on how my life unfolded, I got to see that.
Are you still living in Bali?
No.
You're now living in Barcelona?
I'm living in Barcelona now, but I'm a bit of a digital nomad, so I'm moving around, and I lived in London for a bit, and so I don't know what's next. Maybe Mexico.
Oh, so you're actually looking to move again?
From like after summer.
Yeah, and you're originally Romanian.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a lot of Romanian followers. After I interviewed Angela Cretu, she's the CEO of Avon, the beauty company.
Oh, cool.
And really cool leader. Like,
I grew up with Avon when I was a
teenager. You go. So I can put you guys together if you want. She's a really great mentor as well to a lot of people. Very humble in her approach. Very humble for running a giant like Avon. And how she became CEO was super interesting as well. It was completely by chance.
I would love to hear.
Which is very, very abnormal nowadays. You get groomed to become C-level. Okay.
Yeah, this is what I mean.
So you told me all the lovely stuff about becoming who you are today. But what about the hard bit? I mean, the bit about having 2K in your account is scary. Is it more scary to do this type of thing as a woman, let's say, because moving countries, you go to a country you don't know, anything can happen. Is it more vulnerable to do it that way? And also one question I wanted to ask you, because I'm super honest and candid, right?
Love that.
For someone who's working as a personal brand specialist, is it easier, do you find, for a woman to do this than a man? Because I do think that, if we're very honest as well, when I run sales teams, the people that do the best in sales are the people who are the most friendly, the most personable, and sometimes people who are good looking. And in particular, if your clientele is men, which it is a lot in the technology world, then women do tend to do better in sales in that area as well. So what do you have to say around this topic? Does it help being a woman in what you do today? Do you think it would be harder for a man to get to where you are today? Or it's the same?
Well, there were a lot of questions here. So we'll start with the last one you asked. So do I think it's easier or harder as a woman?
Particularly in personal branding, right? And on social media as well.
Right. So one thing we need to be honest about, and this is what I tell my clients all the time too, you need to find your unfair advantage and use it. And so play on your strengths rather than your weaknesses. Yeah. And so I know, for example, that, I do look good on camera and I'm photogenic. It's an unfair advantage. So yes, I'm going to use it. I'm going to post pictures of myself, especially as a personal brand. And a lot of people are just not happy with that. But, it is what it is. You can't make everyone happy, and nor that's your job. Now, I don't think it's easier as a woman nor harder. I think if you're good at what you're doing, you can shine through and you build your authority. I think when it comes to sales, it's a bit more difficult as a woman to sell in the same way as a man will sell. Mm-hmm. And that's why I believe, or at least, what I've learned in my journey is that in the beginning, I tried to do the same, more like masculine energy approach for sales, a bit more aggressive. And I started feeling very uncomfortable. Yeah. And it was like, I'm actually not staying true to myself, which is I never think about, I'm working with this person. I always think I'm helping this person. Yeah. And so when I shifted that mindset, I started tapping more into my feminine energy and also selling in a more elegant way. And, luckily I also had the right mentors to help me do that. But I also feel like women and men are equal, absolutely, but are different on how much you say we're the same. We are not. And we have different strengths and different weaknesses as well. And so I think it's very important to understand, what are your strengths as a woman and how can you use them to have a better approach rather than trying to be a man, which you're not, right? Yeah. So I don't think it's easier or harder. I just think it needs to be tailored. Just like for a man, you can't do the same things as a woman, as a woman does in the same way that she does it, because probably you're not going to be as good, but you can do it in your way and be as good that way.
Yeah, because the guest before you was a gentleman called Rob Moore, and he's very controversial, disruptive character. And he said some very strong things about, people in sales, who does better, who doesn't, etc. But I think you've put it the right way. It's about, playing to your advantage. It's about, we're not all good at the same things, and we don't have the same advantages. And also, it's about, if you do tap into that feminine energy, you are essentially taking care of someone to make their profile better and to make the way that they reach out to their audience better. And, to close a sale, you can have masculine energy for the person not to, take forever to make a decision. But then on the actual process of, guiding the person through all of that is a bit of a coaching, guiding, mentor type engagement.
It's more nurturing.
It's nurturing engagement, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Whereas I think if I look back at, how I started and everything, I think I always had that entrepreneurial side in myself, even though I don't have anyone that's an entrepreneur in my family. Mm-hmm. And I think I always enjoyed building things. So building a course, building a community, building my brand. But I feel like it's that, feminine energy and a way that a man builds is very different from a woman builds. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong or better or worse. It's just it's different. And I think it's beauty in that difference. And, it should be seen as something beautiful that we're not the same.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, since we're on controversial topics, let's go all in. What are your thoughts on feminist movements? How do you think about women who are absolute feminists?
Well, it is
if you're not honest, I'm going to pick up on it. I'm going to dive deeper.
No, it's an interesting question. It's like I'm thinking, what's the best answer here, because I feel it's not so much black and white. And also I think it's very subjective, right? It's not this is right, this is wrong. So I think it's beautiful to see that, compared to the past, now women have a space in a meeting room. They have a voice. They have a space in political roles, right? Leadership. Yeah. And so luckily, I can even say, being a woman in business, I don't feel that, I don't feel any power dynamic compared to a man, right? But I'm sure that in the past that was the case, right?
Yeah. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Exactly. So that is really beautiful. Now, I feel that, like anything else, can always be an extreme version, right? And I think that the extreme feminism, just like extreme, how they
misogynist,
in Spain, they call it machistas, no? They what they call it, any extreme version, it's not healthy, one or the other. So I feel like all this extreme feminism is not healthy in the way that I think women understood freedom differently, and they're trying to push for something that in reality it's actually more harmful for all of us. Yeah. So to give you a silly example, but again, disclaimer, this is just my view on it. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just how I see things. Yeah. And if you don't agree with them, you're more than welcome to pause and skip this part. But what I believe is obviously I'm coming from Romania, which is Eastern Europe, which it is more patriarchal. I left when I was 18, but doesn't mean that there are not some things that are ingrained there. Yeah. Now, I do still believe it's a beauty in, having a man, letting him feel like he's the provider and he can take care of you, right? So now I'm living in Spain and in Barcelona, and I see a very different culture difference. I think feminism is way stronger than is back home, for example. I don't know how it's here in the UK, but it's this kind of thing of like, no, I can pay for myself. No, I can do this on my own. And I mean, someone that's built a business as a woman, I was like this in the beginning too. Like, you know, you are in the doing and not in the being. And even if you want or not, you're still going to adopt some masculine qualities in that process. But I think it's, you know, it's important to remember, like, we are different again, and how we are more nurturing and caring. So men are more protective and, you know, providing. And so I think it's beautiful to let the other person always be themselves and tap into that masculine energy, or respectively that feminine energy, by letting them, you know, do all these little things that would make them feel that, and the other way around. And so these are the things that I don't necessarily agree with, that kind of extremism of like, I can do anything on my own, you know. Yes, you can do anything on your own, but it's also beautiful to accept that help and to let people in. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it makes sense. I think what you're saying is everybody has a role to play.
Yeah.
And it's more beautiful letting people play their roles and not try to fill a role that you shouldn't be filling, or that's not natural for you to fill.
Yeah. And same thing with, you know, any other movement, like people that they went on a carnivore diet or a vegan diet, like nothing wrong, just like with women that they are pro-feminism to a certain extreme. Again, you can do whatever you want, like as long as you don't harm someone else. But why forcing everyone to see your view, right? This is something I don't agree with. Like, yes, be polarizing, you know, fight for your opinions and for your perspective. This is what I encourage with being authentic with your personal brand as well. But don't try to push everyone else to see the world the way you see it. You can only give perspective, and this is where your duty finishes, you know. So yeah.
So on the topic of solopreneurs, just to go back a little bit, the issue that I see sometimes is the business is built on you as a person who's teaching everybody how to do personal branding better. But there's risks to that, right? You could decide to take a break for 9 months, and then what happens to your clients? So what else do you have in mind in order to keep growing? Because you're going to reach a point where you hit a glass ceiling as a solopreneur.
That's true.
Because you can only take so many clients. You can only put your fees up by so much.
Why exactly 9 months?
No, yeah. So what is next for you? Like, are you wanting to grow this into a company? Are you wanting to? What else do you want to do? Because just this alone, you know, is 200,000 plus views. I have a newsletter that we can do together of 100,000 CEOs.
Right.
So that alone can cause this problem right now. So we have to think about the solution.
So I think, look, what I see as a solopreneur, it doesn't mean you don't have any help. It means that formally there is no one else employed in the company. Doesn't mean you don't have contractors or assistants or people that help you.
Yeah.
But you are the only person in the company. I quite like that model. It comes with risks, but so having employees comes with a lot of risks too.
Yeah.
They're both risky in their own way. I do like it this way because I feel there's a bit more flexibility, and I'm not really a person that really loves, managing people. I always enjoy working on my own. But again, I do agree with the fact that you need help to grow, especially when you're in that phase. So, as I said, for myself, I do quite like that approach. And I think with a lot of personal brands, it's very important to do something else, like to build your IP and to also productize your knowledge into something else that's not, so depending on you or your name. And that's because, as you said, the moment you want to exit the business, well, the business is not worth anything without you there.
Yeah.
And so building something else, I thought about building a SaaS tool when it comes to like creating content on LinkedIn. And I thought about, I already built a community which I just launched, and I'm looking to build more digital products and just have some other things that are outside of my personal brand. But I think once you go on this path with your personal brand, you know, it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do and how you can leverage it.
Yeah.
Look at Kim Kardashian, right? I mean, she has millions and millions of followers, and whatever she would launch now, it's gonna be, you know, well received by her audience because she first built that personal brand. Or, you know, Kylie Jenner, same with her makeup brand. So same thing here. So yeah, in my case, I think I would never see myself building this big company with hundreds of employees, and I like to keep things small and efficient. And when I say small, I mean like people-wise, a lean business, a lean team, rather than a big one. But I do believe you can grow very well and scale from there too.
Yeah, makes sense. So products are potentially next for you.
Yes. Now I'm focusing on this community and the one-to-one, but working on some exciting new products.
Very good, very good. So one tradition we have here on the podcast is for you to nominate someone to be the next guest. It might not be exactly the next guest, but they will come on eventually. And it has to be, the only rule that I put in place is it has to be somebody who truly inspired you, and you have to personally know them or be able to contact them to invite them.
Okay. Yes, I do have someone in mind.
Okay. It's amazing when I ask people this question, they usually have somebody that comes straight to mind. If I forgot to ask this question, I would probably take, you know, days to answer. Okay, who is the person?
Richard Moore.
Richard Moore. Okay. What does Richard Moore do? How did he inspire you?
So he was and is my mentor. I've learned a lot about sales on LinkedIn specifically from him. He's an amazing mentor. He's an amazing entrepreneur. He's amazing at sales as well. Yeah. He's actually in the UK, and what he does, he helps people sell better on LinkedIn and also understand the more elegant version of sales.
Yes.
So, you know, he taps into content as well. But for me, he was a great mentor when it comes to sales.
Great. So Richard will be next, or will be coming up soon. Bia, thank you so much. I think
thank you.
You've explained really well why people need a personal brand. The fact that, you know, the time they spend in it is not wasted. It's actually investment that will get a return if they are doing things properly.
Absolutely.
You've given us wisdom on how to set up the profile correctly, what type of content to go after, how to be authentic, and, you know, the little do's and don'ts and the frameworks I think would really help people. And I think your personal journey of how you landed into this is quite inspiring. I think it shows people that, you know, it is possible to set up your own business. It is possible to start small and to scale, you know, and to keep it at a certain size if you want to. So I think it's been very valuable. Thank you.
Thank you. And for anyone out there listening, just know I'm not more talented than you, and I didn't have more resources. And most people that you actually admire, and when you look at where they started, they maybe started with the same resources you have or less. And don't be afraid to go after your dreams and give it a shot and try and take that leap of faith, because the reward is much higher than the fear that's holding you where you are right now.
Oh, yeah, very inspiring. Thank you, Bia.
Thanks for today.